Tonight on Prime Business, Ghana is expected to benefit from a $170 billion World Bank fund as part of measures to cushion economies around the world from the overlapping economic crisis.
Just like this one, we will be allocating more money to social protection programs. That means these targeted subsidies for the poorest.
Also, Ghanaian banana exporters lament the negative impact of the Russia-Ukraine war on their businesses as they begin to incur losses.
Now, the situation is that the main European market is quite controlled, and so you just cannot deliver anything that you want. However, this is our traditional market, but because these fruits cannot go through these countries normally through the port of desert because of the war, attempts are being made to down some of these fruits in the traditional markets of mainland Europe.
Implementation of the electronic transaction levy, we find out how prepared digital payment firms are.
We foresee that in the short term, as soon as it comes into force, maybe a month, there will, businesses will be impacted. Businesses such as the fintechs, and then the payment service providers will be impacted. This will impact even the dedicated money issuers.
We have all these stories and more coming up shortly, but we'll begin with commodities. Ghana is expected to benefit from a $170 billion World Bank fund aimed at helping member countries address multiple overlapping crises in the economies. An initial $50 billion will be made ready by July this year. Now, the World Bank says it would help member countries manage rising inflation, energy and food supply shortages, which have been fueled by the Russia-Ukraine war, as well as the lingering effect of COVID-19. Take a listen to David Malpass. He's the World Bank president.
So whether it's Nigeria or Ghana, the countries that we've mentioned today, the keystone is to have plans and programs for the country that benefit the people and allow the poverty to be alleviated and the median income to go up. What is it that will cause more investment in the country that's productive? And we look for those programs and then try to rapidly expand the programs in those countries that are making progress toward beneficial results. Oftentimes, in a crisis like this one, we will be allocating more money to social protection programs. That means these targeted subsidies for the poorest, so that they can have a path through the crisis, and then have new businesses that start, new jobs that start on the other side of the crisis.
Now, Ghana's tax to GDP is expected to inch up marginally by 2% to hit 16.5%. That's according to an IMF fund monitor, of which Charles Nixon has the latest in this report.
International Monetary Fund April 2022 fiscal monitor is actually forecasting that Ghana's tax to GDP ratio will nearly increase by 2% to 16.5%, and that comes as a good news for the country. This means that the various revenue measures by the finance ministry is going to yield positive results. On the other hand, going forward into the future, we expect the managers of the economy to do more to be able to increase the tax to GDP ratio to the African average of about 20%. We also expect them to reduce spending And if they are able to do that, we'll be good to go in terms of helping to trim our debt, because the rising debt is a concern for the country. If the debt keeps rising, it will be very difficult for us to have fiscal space in order to invest in very critical projects that will yield results, i.e. job creation and infrastructure development. So on a whole, this is what the International Monetary Fund is saying with regard to the assessment by its fiscal monitor. And the good news is that Ghana's tax to GDP ratio would somehow expand to some extent, but the expenditure to tax ratio is what is of a concern, and that will not fall as expected and will keep the fiscal deficit to GDP ratio at 9.8%.
Let's now delve into matters regarding agri, because banana exporters are lamenting the impact of the Russia-Ukraine crisis on their profit margins. George Kler is Executive Secretary to the Association of Banana Exporters, and he spoke earlier on the marketplace.
The Eastern European countries have supplied Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine with bananas. They export around 1.8 to 2 million tons a year. Now, the situation is that the main European market is quite controlled, and so you just cannot deliver anything that you want. However, this is our traditional market, but because these fruits cannot go through these countries normally through the port of Odessa because of the war, attempts are being made to down some of these fruits in the traditional markets of mainland Europe. And in a situation where we already are having challenges with increased input costs from fertilizer to all other inputs, if we have also at the same time a situation where our prices are significantly undermined because of this dumping, this would be a major crisis for the industry.
And what's going to be the trickle-down effect on the farm gates to the market centers in Ghana?
This is a perishable product. We can't store it. So anything that we don't export will mean that we cannot sell them. So what will mean is that it will affect production. Export volumes will be considerably reduced, and sustaining the plantations will become a major problem.
Let's talk about alternatives. What kind of alternative measures are you now putting in place to ensure that you cushion yourself against this threat?
So what is happening is that because we have various agreements with the European Union, typically the European Partnership Agreement, where there are safeguard clauses, against such things, we have drawn the attention to the European authorities when Strasbourg 2 weeks ago to the European Parliament to draw attention to these issues. So we are hoping that the safeguard measures will be kicked in to ensure that we are protected. Alternatively, the industry is making efforts to expand within Africa, as an alternative source of markets, and efforts are being done. My company, Golden Exotics, exports already around 20% within West Africa, in the Sahelian region, mostly yes. Senegal, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and also Benin in there.
Let's now move to the fisheries subsector, because the Deputy Director in charge of Research, Statistics and Information Management at the Ministry of Fisheries and Agriculture says that a plan has been put in place to secure the livelihood of fisher folk, especially when the close season will begin in June. He's been speaking to me on the marketplace regarding the state of Ghana's fisheries industry, as it recorded a whopping 13.4% increase in 2021.
On Marketplace in Ogbuedu noted that it is imperative for people within the fishing industry find alternatives of surviving.
We understand that closing the sea for 1 month, but ideally the sea is closed. Looking at how they fish, the close season is between 14 days to 16 days because of the appearance of the moon. We see that fishing is more tied to their economy, but we've also realized that the catches are going down, and as part as we put in measures to stop illegalities, if we allow the sea to rest for a while, then we could, in the medium to long term, we could recover the stocks that they are going down. The fishermen themselves will attest to the fact that for some time now, when they go to sea, they catch a little and they catch a lot of rubbers. So these are measures that we are hoping that it will could calm down and help recover the stocks. We will also provide some modicum of support in this close season, as last year we did some 15,000 bags of rice and oil. But these are not enough. That's why we try to come up with an announcement earlier so that the fishermen themselves can provide themselves, prepare adequately so that they can support themselves within the group. Going forward, in the next years coming, we will continue to dialogue with the fishermen on what alternative livelihood projects can be done for them so that when they are not fishing, they can be doing something else. I think that would be a long-term thing that the ministry is looking to engage the fishermen on so that fishing, though it's a hobby and it's a cultural thing, will be used as an alternative livelihood, not the main livelihood, so that when we ask people to stop, it will not impact much on their livelihood.
The fisheries subsector recorded stellar performance in 2021, recording a 13.4% growth after years of zero to negative growth. The government statistician made this known, stating this performance triggered an overall growth in the agri sector by 8.4%. Reacting to this development, Nogbuedu said the ministry has put in place measures to check illegal fishing activities, a move they believe will sustain the growth of the sector.
So we will keep on going it. No zero tolerance towards illegal activities on the sea. We'll continue this year. We've already announced that the close season for the artisanal or the industrial canoes and the artisanal semi-industrial vessels will come on from 1st July to 31st July, whilst the industrial one, the trawlers, will start from 1st July to 31st August. And then we have other measures that we are introducing. In these measures, we are ensuring that nobody is going back to illegal activities. We've encouraged the Navy and the Marine Police to go ahead. And we're also speaking with the industrial activities. Then there's a ministerial directive on the industrial sectors to change the GS that they are using so that they can get gear that is friendly to the resource harvesting, so that we can ensuring that there's sustainability in the sector.
Meanwhile, some fisherfolk in a conversation with Joy Business has opposed the directive by the ministry, describing the timelines as unfavorable.
On the 1st of May, e-levy will be enacted, and even ahead of that, country manager of Cellular Ghana, Eric Coulter, says digital payment firms and fintechs are poised to the implementation of the transaction levy. The 1.5% tax on some electronic transactions, including mobile money transfers, take effect on the said date. Mr. Coulter, however, anticipates the payment industry to be impacted at the beginning stages of implementation as customers adjust to the new charges.
We will be impacted one way or the other. Now, you know, the Ghana Revenue Authorities have made the payment service providers like Cellulant as a collecting agent. Now, let's understand that this particular levy, okay, will be levied on the consumer. And the consumers are our customers. So if it impacts on them negatively, yes, it will definitely impact on us. But the full impact of this, I'll be able to really give an assessment of it when it comes into being. Okay, so today we know that the tentative date given is in May. So once it comes into being, then we'll look at it. However, what I know is just like what has been communicated to us by the government in terms of some services that are exempted, others that are not. But it will affect the space, because today, even though there is, if you look at the payment space, the digital payment space, close to 80 or 85% is actually MOMO, or electronic payment, right? Electronic payment, MOMO cards. It will affect us. However, the impact, as I said, from today, yes, people will have to look at the business. Okay, are people going to join long queues? Okay, those will come to play, but we need to wait and then experience it before we will look at it. But the definite answer is that yes, in the short term, we will be impacted. Payment service providers, fintechs will be impacted in the short term. However, I foresee maybe in the long term it being stabilized and getting back to normal.
What role are you really playing in terms of implementation of the e-levy?
We've been engaging key stakeholders, of which the Ghana Revenue Authority, as I did mention, had called us payment service providers, which we were part. There are some form of integrations that we need to do on our end to be able to be a collecting agent for them. Yes, so the technical team of Cellulant is also working with the government or the Ghana Revenue Authority on this, and we hope that by the due dates that they've given,
which is the 1st of May, would you be ready by then?
I overheard you this morning talking to Ken Ashigbe. Okay, and as he did mention in his interview, it is, you know, we met far back in, I think, January. Okay, yes, and some of these things that I was there, Ken, we agreed on a different timeline. However, we will have to, I mean, now it's past, the e-levy is passed, we will have to work. As to our readiness, the engineers are aware of the timelines. So we are, as a country manager, I also kind of facilitate that for them to work towards that.
What does it mean for the merchants as well?
This is a cycle, okay? Remember the intent, so merchants have consumers, okay? Merchants have consumers. This e-levy is going to be, so if it is unpopular among consumers, it means that consumers are not going to transact more digitally. It affects our merchants because then people will want to go and pay cash. Okay. Now, in order to avoid some of these taxes, but as I did mention, in the short term, businesses, our merchants, our collections will be impacted. Because you notice that it took a longer time, people actually demonstrated. So using that feedback, okay, that we saw in the Ghanaian economy or in the Ghanaian market, we foresee that in the short term, as soon as it comes into force, maybe a month, there will be, I mean, businesses will be impacted. Businesses such as the fintechs, okay, and then the payment service providers will be impacted. This will impact even the dedicated money issuers, okay. However, we also plan to innovate around it. Just as COVID came, as business, we will innovate, and then also wait for the feedback, because I believe they will also assess it on a month-to-month basis. They will assess the way at which the market responds to it, and then we will know what next it is for the PSPs.
Away from that, Newmont Ghana has launched an alternative livelihood training program for 24 selected young people from the communities of the mining company in the Ahafo region. They will learn welding and fabrication for 12 weeks. And according to Ayitey, the Vice President of Newmont Ghana Gold Mines, the Sustainability and External Relations, the pilot program is aimed at providing the young people with a decent and viable alternative to illegal mining. She was speaking at the launch of the program at Kenyase in the Asutifi North District, of which Precious Semevo has more in this report.
The training program, launched at Kenyase in the Asutifi North District of the Ahafo region, involves 24 youths, including 4 females along the Galamsey value chain. They were selected from communities in the Ahafo North and South concessions, including Adroba, Efrisipa, Tetre, Susuanso, Omahinso, Jedu, Intotroso, and Kenyase 1 and 2. The 3-month welding and fabrication training at CPI in Tema for $300,000 will see the pioneers supported with a monthly allowance and industrial training for 3 months. The pilot program is to provide the trainees with a meaningful, decent, and viable alternative to Galamsey. Ayitey is the Vice President of Newmont Ghana Gold Mines in charge of sustainability and external relations.
We did do an ASM, or artisanal small-scale mining baseline survey, to understand those who are involved in illegal mining. And when we did that, a lot of the people had indicated that they were not interested in doing illegal mining, but because they didn't have the work opportunity, by default they had to go there. So we worked with consultants, we spoke with the community and decided to do this pilot employment opportunity. So they are going to go through training in welding and fabrication, and we hope that through that they'll also be able to get opportunity to work with companies who do work in welding and fabrication. We're also going to talk to our contractors to see those who are able to take them on, and if that doesn't work, then the last piece that we'll be looking at is working with the local government officials to have think about set up an industrial park, equip them so that they can create their own work where they can also look for other people to come in and support them. As some of them mentioned, when they can't get job, then they also have to eat. Then they're going to think about going back.
Our original minister, George Boache, thanked Newmont for the initiative to combat the galamsey menace and advised the candidates to make the most out of the lifetime opportunity offered to equip them with employable skills that would help them to contribute to the development of the country. Bright Ajiman, a beneficiary, also appreciated the mining company for the support to move them away from the high-risk galamsey activities. He said if Newmont carries out its plans for them after the training, their lives would certainly improve with a positive impact on society. Precious Semevo, Joy Business, Kenyasi.
Let's now bring you today's edition of Funded, where you get to appreciate the best ways to pitch your business idea.
Hello everyone, welcome to Funded with me, Dr. Thelma Frimpong of the Desert Youth Services and Consultancy. Today, we are talking about building a brand or a great presence online. Today, business is done online. Thanks to COVID and all that it came with, there's a lot going on in the virtual space and you cannot be left out in your business. Remember that funders can go behind you to check how well your brand is doing online and how competitive you are online. And so it is very prudent that you build a strong brand online where people can easily assess whatever you are coming up with. It's equally a good way to get funders' attention because, as I said earlier, they can go online to check whatever you are doing online over there. And so take advantage of the virtual space, take advantage of social media and all the avenues available to us. And that is a good way of getting funders to come into whatever you are doing too. And then you can equally put everything you have online for easy access so that customers can equally get there and see what you have to offer. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Labadi Beach Hotel, for hosting us, and see you in the next session.
You need to build a strong online presence. The parting words from today's edition of Funded. That's how we end Prime Business with me, Charles Ayitey. I will leave you with international business news, after which we have Prime Sports. Do stay with us.